Hi, I'm Kisabi J and I am going to be doing my makeup with you all while I talk to you about Shades of Mother. So as some of you may know, I'm the author of Shades of Mother, and today I will be doing my makeup that I had for my book launch. I'll be recreating that look. Alright, so after prepping my skin, I'm going to go ahead with some foundation from MAC, and I'm going to mix in another shade of foundation as well to just get the right shade for me. Alright, so I've prepped my skin with primer and moisturizer, and now I'm just applying the foundation just like how I usually do it before I blend it all out. So for my book launch, I wanted to have a makeup look that was blue because the color of the book is blue, and the suit that I designed and stitched for my book launch was also blue. So yeah, that was the look I wanted. I wanted to have blue eyeshadow, but then I tried it on and I didn't like it as much. It didn't suit the vibe for an author for a book launch. So yeah, I created this other whole eyeshadow look that had a little bit of blue but mostly gold because it was more formal. So once you're done with applying the foundation, what I like to do is I take some powder and I just I apply that to sort of let the products sit on my skin very well and to just let them settle in and sort of create a matte look, because I'm not a fan of the dewy look. As I've already mentioned before, I don't like the dewy look. I prefer like a matte look. I prefer powdered products over liquid products. So that's what I'm just doing. Just applying powder, also from MAC, over the foundation to let that all just set in. After this, I'm going to go ahead with some concealer and just apply it under my eyes. Just where you can apply it wherever you think is needed. I'm just going to apply it under my eyes because I have dark circles under my eyes. From having stayed up writing. I don't usually blend my concealer that fast. I usually let it marinate on my skin while I go ahead and do my eyeshadow. So for this look, I used a light gold eyeshadow, this one, and I think I mixed in little bronze eyeshadow as well. So yeah, I mixed this light gold eyeshadow, like just blend it in all over my eye straight away. Why I didn't like do a beige eyeshadow on the base and went in straight away with the gold eyeshadow is I sort of wanted it to just look a bit more natural, like that was just glitter on my natural eyelid. So that's just what I'm doing. You can take any gold eyeshadow you want and just apply it over the eyelid. What I'm doing now is I'm going to take a bronze eyeshadow that's over here. It's also like very glittery, and I'm just going to apply it onto the outer corner, like the top part of my eye, to create a bit of a shadow. So yeah, so I think most of you know how I came to writing Shades of a Mother and the topic of the book, and why I decided to handle a very heavy and difficult topic for my first book. And the stories just came very naturally to me. I'm someone who usually lives with my head in the clouds, always fantasizing about stories or dresses and clothes, and so these characters pretty much just came to me themselves. There were some characters that I needed to create for the stories, like Esme from The Nighttime at the Pied Piper. I had to make her up because I knew the kind of story I wanted to talk about and the topics I wanted to deal with, and I needed to find a character who was just perfect for me to explore a topic such as that, and that's how I created Esme. But like characters such as Maddie and Noah, and even Opal and Ophelia from If Only I'd Known, Malibu Dream, and Butterflies in the Bathtub, they were characters that pretty much just came to me as I was just living my ordinary life. They came to me, and that's just how I knew that I needed to write their stories. I got to know them as characters first, and I just sat there in front of my laptop, and the stories just sort of flowed out of my mind onto the screen of the laptop. I didn't have to do much thinking when it came to them. Their stories just naturally happened. I'm gonna go ahead and blend my concealer now. So characters that are based on me in the book is definitely Opal and Ophelia. Opal is not the current version of me that's here now. Opal would probably be 17-year-old Kisavi that was there, and Ophelia was more of a part of me that I saw in myself that I didn't really like. So yeah, Butterflies in the Bathtub is mostly about just myself having to confront things about myself, but I structured it in a way where it's a daughter dealing with her mother. Alright, so my concealer is blended and I'm gonna go ahead and dust off some powder once again because I don't like doing makeup. So, as some of you know, Shamelessly Romantic was initially written from the point of view of the mother, Davina, where she had little children. I think Daniela was around 4 and Daphne had just been born, or she was around 1 year old. And yeah, one of my friends gave me advice after reading Butterflies in the Bathtub and told me that I should try and write Shamelessly Romantic from the daughter's point of view, since it would just bring out more emotion to see the ending of a marriage through the eyes of a child, which is what I did. So for those of you who are romantics at heart, who want a bit of that in my book, I would definitely recommend reading Shamelessly Romantic. It talks about the romance story, the ending of a romance story between parents, and it's narrated by the child in the situation. On to the fun part. So this is one of my classic looks. Something I do often is I usually do gold on the top and blue on the bottom of my eye, and that's what I'm doing. I'm using this blue glittery eyeshadow, also from MAC. So I've got that on an angled brush, and I'm just gonna do the bottom of my eye like this. Just the edge. I don't want to go all the way because I have done that kind of look before. That's not the kind of look I did for my book launch, so that's not what I'm doing today. Just on the edge of the eye, just sort of drag it and color the bottom of the eye with this light blue glittery dust. Alright, we're gonna go ahead with eyeliner. I don't know why I just closed my eye. So yeah, as you can see, I just did that line that I usually do. Not really natural, but I'm not a fan of dramatic eyeliner. I like to keep it as simple as I can. So now we're gonna go ahead with mascara. Another story I think Sri Lankans specifically would like is Bedtime Stories for the Children in the Clouds. And that is a story that deals with the topic of death and loss of children. And the whole structure of the story is basically this angel named Wendy who narrates bedtime stories to children who've passed away while she takes them to heaven. The story is structured of 3 mini fairy tales of what the narrator Wendy, the angel, tells the 3 children who are the 3 characters in the story. And there are 3 ways I've noticed a lot of Sri Lankan children have passed away tragically over the years. So it deals with a story of a child drowning. I think it's called The Tale of the Blue Boy. And then starvation and poverty, which is The Tale of the Great Prince, one of Sri Lanka's greatest tragedies, which was the Easter bombing. And that story is called The Red Ballerina. I just think it's definitely a very tragic and heartbreaking story, but it's something I wanted to sort of write from Sri Lanka, since all my other stories took place abroad in different countries. I wanted to do one story at least for my country, and that's Bedtime Stories for the Children in the Clouds. Another story I would definitely recommend you to read in my book is Malibu Dream, which deals with the topic of teen pregnancy. And I think it's just very important because these are topics that aren't often spoken about in Sri Lanka. The story deals with teen pregnancy, drugs, and abortion. So I just think it's a very unique story. It's not handled in the way we often see Western media handle it as well. I didn't handle the story in a way us South Asians would normally handle a situation like this, because I myself grew up abroad. I don't, like me myself naturally, I don't think like a South Asian. I don't know, I guess it just doesn't happen naturally, and I didn't want to force something that I couldn't relate to, because I'm the author. So I wrote the stories. But yeah, I just think it's a very unique story for South Asians to read, and you will find it relatable because although it takes place in a Western country, it's not written in a necessarily like a Western way of viewing or dealing with that topic, because I don't agree with how some Westerners handle certain topics. So I didn't write it necessarily that way, but it's also not written in a way South Asians or Asians would relate to. I just think it's a very unique and important topic because it talks about teen pregnancy, where the mother of said teen wants her to make a certain decision, and she decides not to take that decision because she realizes that the baby she's carrying is her dream, and that's the dream she wants to fight for, which is why the story is called Malibu Dream. And it's about a young teen who runs away from home and does her very best to raise a daughter she never thought she would have, to sort of give her the life she missed out on because of her mistakes and carelessness. So that's just what the story talks about. And a little spoiler, something bad happens, and the protagonist, Noah, who's the teen mother, is upset and she's run away from home. She hasn't spoken to her own mom in years, and I just really like how we don't really get to see it, but there's a time jump, a time skip, and we see Noah having overcome that situation with her mother on her side. And I really like that because to me it just shows how no matter what you do, no matter how bad you think you've messed up, your mom will always be there for you, always be by your side. And even though like they'll probably scold you and yell at you, mother's love never ends, you know, they're always there. It's truly unconditional love, and I think every child needs that. And I just think, to me, that's just a very beautiful moment in Malibu Dream, to see Noah having messed up really badly, to see how she overcomes that situation with her mother on that side. And we don't necessarily see how they work through their conflict, we just see them together at the end. And that's just enough for me to know that, like, for me to show my readers that a mother will always be there for their child. And that's the same dynamic we see with Noah having to fight for her child and having to be there for her child. So that's just, that motherly love is reflected between the protagonist, which is why I really like Noah, because she's not just a mother or a daughter in her story, because we get to see both relationships, what Noah has with her daughter and her mother. And I just think it's a very unique and beautiful story. Another story one of my friends really likes is Salt. This story is about a mother dealing with terminal illness, having to describe and explore her fear, but the fear of death, knowing, you know, it's around the corner. But what's tragic about of the story is that her fear is not for herself and not about the life she's leaving behind, but rather the child she's leaving behind, her daughter, who she will not be able to be a part of, like, her life anymore. And that's just the emotion that's explored in that story. And one of my friends said that it's just a very heart-wrenching story. And I think for anyone who's just yearning for motherly love, you could probably read Salt, because the way I've structured the story is that it's a letter a mother is writing to her child. So anyone who's just yearning for motherly love can read Salt and fill your heart with that love. So If Only I'd Known is the first story in my collection. It's the first story I wrote, and I just think it's a very heart-wrenching story as well. It sort of walks the reader through the stages of grief unique to Maddie, who has lost her daughter to suicide. And I just think it's a very important story to read, because it's something that helped me when I was dealing with certain negative emotions and thoughts. What sort of pulled me away from that was thinking about the people you leave behind, because taking that step isn't always the answer, as much as it feels like it's the answer. You know, I understand that when you're at that point, it seems as though nothing else matters and you can't really think or feel anything else other than the pain that you're in. But I think love can be sort of overpowering, like if you let it be, like if you let that sink in. if you sort of remember the love that you hold for the people in your life, and how you simply tearing out the pages of your book doesn't end that story, and that story is just going to continue on without you in it, and it's just going to be stained with more grief. So yeah, If Only I'd Known sort of helps it out, and I've heard it helps certain people ground themselves in love and remind them of the people that they have in their life, the people that they're blessed with, which is why I think it's a very, very important story. And I know I say that each and every story in my collection is important, but it is in its own way. Like If Only I'd Known talks about mental health and suicide. Saul talks about terminal illness. The Night I Met the Pied Piper talks about infertility. Shamelessly Romantic talks about divorce and infidelity, and just the dark side of a marriage and how it affects a child. And then Bedtime Stories for the Children in the Clouds talks about death regarding children, like specifically unique to Sri Lanka. And then Malibu Dream deals with abortion and teen pregnancy and drug use. And then finally, Butterflies in the Bathtub deals with mental illness and suicide once again. Why I have If Only I'd Known and Butterflies in the Bathtub deal with the same topic is because it's a collection, and I sort of wanted them to, as they're the first and the last story, I wanted them to mirror each other, where If Only I'd Known is about a mother who has lost her child, and you get to see that motherly perspective of a parent's perspective of losing one's child. Butterflies in the Bathtub to me is just more tragic and more scary, because it talks about the child whose entire world is gone when they lose their parent, because Opal herself is raised by her single mother Ophelia, and she doesn't have many friends. She's all alone. She's always writing, and to her mother is everything in life, and so to lose her mother is just absolutely tragic and just terrifying, which is why I think both the stories of If Only I'd Known and Butterflies in the Bathtub is different because of that. Butterflies in the Bathtub to me seems like it sort of is on the border of becoming a horror because of how frightful it is, whereas If Only I'd Known is just purely melodramatic and tragic. Both stories are definitely heart-wrenching and tragic, but there's just a different layer to each of them, a different shade to each of them. Since I did blue eyeshadow for my look and pink blush, I wanted to go ahead with brown lips to sort of keep it a bit neutral without having too much color going on, and that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm a huge fan of lip pencils just because it's matte and it stays on for long hours, and that's just what I wanted for my book launch, because I didn't have time to keep reapplying my makeup, so I wanted something that would skin for longer. Alright, so this is the look. As you can see, I've done the blue eyeshadow and the gold and bronze on my eyelid, and I've just applied some, I think it was peach blush. Yeah, peach blush and some light gold highlighter with the brown lipstick, and this is my look. This is the look that I had for the Shades of a Mother book launch. So yeah, I know this video wasn't very it didn't educate you. I didn't really share any tips with you, but I hope you'll enjoyed it. Just me recreating my book launch makeup look with you while I spoke to you about Shades of Mother and why it's such an important book for our generation and just for any parents that are currently there. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy this video. Definitely go follow me on my social media platforms on TikTok and Instagram at KisaviJ. I'll be uploading lots of reels and content for you there as well. I hope you'll like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can get Shades of a Mother at Sarasavi and some other local bookshops in Sri Lanka. And if you want to access it internationally, Shades of Mother ebook is available on Kobo website and app. Alright, have a great day. God bless.
It's the rainy Monday, sitting at our table.